When we hear the word wellness, most of us think of diet and exercise, right? But wellness is so much more than what you eat or how often you move. True wellness is about how balanced your life feels overall. Physically, yes, but also mentally, socially, emotionally, and even spiritually. It's all connected. This is what we refer to as the 8 dimensions of wellness. Let's dive in and talk about what those dimensions are. Emotional wellness. Self care, stress management, resilience, and emotional expression are key. This is about how you handle stress, manage your emotions, and bounce back from challenges. It's not about being happy all the time, it's about being real with what you feel and having tools to cope when things get tough. In the workplace, emotional wellness helps you avoid burnout and stay grounded when life inevitably gets messy. Physical wellness. This is recognizing the need for physical activity, sleep, nutrition, and medical care. It includes regular exercise, sleep hygiene, healthy eating, and routine checkups to support your well being. But it's important to note this is not about perfection. It's about listening to your body and giving it what it needs to keep you going. Not just to survive, but to feel good. And yes, this spills over into work too. When you feel better physically, you're more productive and focused. Occupational wellness. Balance, purpose, and fulfillment in your role, whether paid or unpaid, are very important. This doesn't mean you have to love your job every single day. It's more about finding meaning in what you do, feeling a sense of purpose, and knowing that your work matters. Even in tough jobs or unpaid roles like being a parent or caring for a loved one, you can still cultivate occupational wellness. It helps prevent stress, anxiety, and keeps you motivated. Intellectual wellness. Lifelong learning, problem solving, and curiosity help stimulate the mind, and intellectual wellness is all about feeding your mind, being curious, learning new things, and trying new skills. You don't need to go back to school. Something like listening to a podcast, learning how to fix something around the house, or reading something new all count. Keeping your brain active helps with mental sharpness at work and gives your life more richness. Spiritual wellness. This doesn't have to mean religion. It can, but it can also mean living in alignment with your values. It's about feeling connected to something bigger than yourself. It might be nature, community, faith, or simply mindfulness. When you know what grounds you, it's easier to stay steady in both personal and work life. Environmental wellness. This includes safe living spaces, access to nature, sustainable choices. It's all about the spaces around you, your home, your workspace, even your digital space. Is it cluttered or calming? Safe or stressful? Small things like adding a plant to your desk, organizing your inbox, or creating a cozy nook at home can actually reduce stress and improve focus. Financial wellness. Budgeting, managing debt, saving, and understanding financial literacy contribute to this dimension. Money stress is real. Financial wellness isn't about being rich. It's about feeling in control of your money, having a plan, and not constantly worrying about your bills. Whether you're saving a little, paying down debt, or just making peace with where you are, it all counts. And when money feels more manageable, everything else feels a little lighter too. Social wellness. Meaningful relationships and healthy communication foster social wellness. This is our focus for today. Social wellness is about connection, having people you trust, feeling like you belong somewhere, and being able to communicate honestly with others. When our relationships feel strong, everything else feels more manageable. And at work, healthy relationships make teams thrive. But here's the thing, none of these dimensions exist in a vacuum. If your relationships are strained, it affects your work. If you're burnt out at work, it affects your sleep. When even one area is off balance, it can throw the whole system off. So when we make small adjustments across these different areas, checking in with a friend, stretching more, eating healthier, unplugging from screens before bed, all of these things create momentum. And that momentum makes us feel more grounded, more capable, and more connected. That's why looking at wellness as a full picture, not just a gym routine or meal plan, can change the way we show up every single day for ourselves, for our families, and in the work we do. Today, we're diving into a really important and sometimes overlooked part of our well being: social wellness. This is about how well we connect with others, because as human beings, we are wired for connection. And our social wellness affects everything from our mood, our mental health, to how we show up at work and at home. Whether you're feeling deeply connected right now, or maybe even a little isolated, there's something in here for everyone. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is social wellness? It's about the quality of our relationships and how we interact with others. This includes having people in your life that you can trust, that feeling like you belong to something, and being able to communicate openly and honestly. It's also about being able to navigate conflict and set healthy boundaries. So, when our social wellness is strong, that's when we are feeling really supported. We don't feel alone. We're more equipped to handle life's challenges. But when our social wellness isn't that strong, when we're feeling disconnected or misunderstood, it can affect our sleep, our stress levels, even our physical health. And now this matters at work too. We spend a huge portion of our lives working, and the quality of our relationships with coworkers, supervisors, or clients can shape whether we feel energized or drained at the end of the day. Now, there are 5 pillars of social wellness. Let's talk about those core building blocks of strong social wellness. These are those things that really are going to help sustain us in our relationships. The first being community connection. This is where we're making time for meaningful contact with others. Humans are really meant to feel like they are part of something bigger. That might be your neighborhood or even a faith group, a team, or a shared interest group online. Just feeling like we belong somewhere gives us strength, especially at times like this when life feels really uncertain. Number 2, authentic communication. This is where we are speaking and listening with presence and with care. And now this is more than just talking. It's about being real, sharing honestly, listening deeply, and having conversations that go well beyond that surface level. And now it's okay if you're still working on this. Many of us spend a lifetime working on good communication skills. And a lot of us were never taught how to communicate clearly or kindly, especially in conflict. 3, healthy boundaries. Respecting your own limits and others' boundaries simply means what's okay and what's not okay. Those boundaries protect our energy, and it's going to allow our relationships to be respectful and mutual. Setting boundaries doesn't mean that you don't care. This actually creates space for healthier, more honest connections. 4, a sense of belonging. This is a big one. This is that need to feel like we are part of something that's bigger than ourselves and accepted for who we are. 5, nurturing supportive relationships. This is giving and receiving help during good and hard times. A lot of us are great at giving. We're not so great at receiving. So, relationships, these take time and care. This means that we're showing up for each other, even in small ways. We're checking in, expressing appreciation, making space for the joy and for the struggle. Now, don't mistake that it's about having a ton of friends. It's not about having a huge circle. It's about having a few people that you know you can count on. Now, you don't have to master all of these at once. Even focusing on just one of these areas, maybe practicing clearer communication or reaching out to someone you miss, can begin to shift things. So let's dive a little deeper into each pillar. Let's start with connection because honestly, it's the foundation that everything else is built on when it comes to social wellness. Humans are hardwired to connect. We're social creatures by nature, and our need for connection isn't just emotional, it's biological. Neuroscience has shown that social connection lights up the same reward centers in the brain as food or physical safety. In fact, studies from researchers like Dr. Julianne Holt Lundstad have found that strong social ties increase our chance of survival by 50%. That's not just about feeling good, it's about staying well. The Dalai Lama said, "We humans are social beings. We come into the world as the result of others' actions. We survive here in dependence on others. Whether we like it or not, there is hardly a moment of our lives where we do not benefit from others' activities. For this reason, it is hardly surprising that most of our happiness arises in the context of our relationships with others." It's that sense of being seen and being known and valued by others. True connection doesn't require constant contact or even lots of friends. It's about feeling emotionally bonded to at least a few people who get you. Now, what happens when connection is lacking? So, without connection, people can start to feel lonely, even when they're surrounded by other people. You might feel isolated, misunderstood, or emotionally detached. Long term disconnection can contribute to anxiety, depression, and a lack of motivation or hope. So, how do we foster more connection? Be intentional about making time for connection. Even quick moments count. Maybe be the person to reach out first. Don't wait for them to text or to call you. You take the first step. Prioritize quality over quantity in your relationships. Spend time with people who energize you rather than drain you. Be present. Put your phone down during conversations, make eye contact, and really listen. But connection isn't just about how many people you have in your contacts list or how many likes you get on social media. It's about quality over quantity. One or two genuine relationships can be far more powerful than a dozen surface level ones. A real connection is when you feel seen, valued, and safe to be yourself. It's the friend who checks in, the coworker who listens without judgment, the family member who just gets you. These bonds act like emotional anchors, especially when life feels overwhelming. When we're well connected, we're more resilient. We manage stress better, feel more hopeful, and are more likely to reach out when we're struggling. On the flip side, when connection is missing, we feel isolated, misunderstood, or emotionally alone, and it can deeply affect our mental and even physical health. Loneliness has been linked to increased risk of depression, anxiety, sleep disruption, and even heart disease. The former U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, called loneliness a public health epidemic, and it's easy to see why when you look at the ripple effects it has across our lives. The good news is that connection doesn't have to be complicated. It's built in small, intentional moments, reaching out to someone you've been thinking about, making space for a real conversation, or simply showing up consistently in someone's life. Sometimes connection is a quick thinking of you text. Sometimes it's a deep conversation over coffee. Either way, it's those moments of human contact that remind us we're not alone. And that's what builds the bedrock of social wellness. So if there's one place to begin when you're thinking about strengthening your well-being, start with connection. Nurture it, seek it out, offer it to others. Because when we're connected, we don't just survive, we thrive. If connection is the foundation of social wellness, then communication is the bridge that helps us get there and stay there. It's how we express our needs, how we show care, how we resolve conflict, and how we deepen our relationships. This is the way that we express ourselves and how we understand other people. It includes listening, sharing openly, resolving conflict, and expressing needs in a respectful way. Effective communication is key to building trust and emotional safety. Poor communication is often going to lead to misunderstandings, tension, and broken trust. You may feel unheard or dismissed, or you might even struggle to advocate for your own needs. Without healthy communication, even strong relationships can erode over time. So, how can we foster more communication? Practice active listening. Give your full attention. Reflect back what you heard and ask clarifying questions. And yes, this can be done in a casual relationship, not just a work relationship. Speak honestly, but with kindness. Use I statements to express your needs and feelings. Learn to tolerate uncomfortable conversations. Conflict is a normal part of a healthy relationship. Take responsibility for your tone, your body language, and timing. Communication truly is the bridge between us. And yet, for something we do every day, communication can be one of the hardest things to get right. We've all had moments where we've said the wrong thing, stayed silent when we needed to speak up, or misunderstood someone's intent. That's normal. It's part of being human. The key to strong social wellness isn't perfect communication, it's conscious communication. Good communication isn't just about being articulate or having the right words. It's also about listening, really listening. Active listening means setting aside distractions, withholding judgment, and trying to understand what someone is saying and how they're feeling. According to a 2013 study published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, people who feel heard report feeling more connected and validated, even when the conversation includes disagreement. That kind of listening is powerful, and it's a skill we can all practice. Equally important is how we express ourselves. When we can clearly name what we need or how we feel, we reduce tension and build trust in our relationships. Using simple I statements, like I feel overwhelmed when plans change last minute, can be more constructive than saying, you always do this. It keeps the conversation grounded in your experience instead of placing blame. Communication is also about timing, tone, and emotional awareness. Sometimes it's not what we say, but how we say it that makes all the difference. When communication breaks down, this is when we avoid those hard conversations, talk over others, or suppress our needs. It can slowly erode even the closest relationships. Misunderstandings build up, resentment festers, and we begin to feel disconnected or unheard. This can affect everything from personal relationships to workplace dynamics. On the flip side, clear and compassionate communication creates space for mutual respect, emotional safety, and deeper connection. So, if you're looking for a place to improve your social wellness, consider how you communicate. Ask yourself, am I listening with curiosity? Am I expressing myself with honesty and care? Am I open to feedback and willing to have brave conversations? Communication is a practice, not a performance. And when we do it with intention, it brings us closer to the people who matter most. Boundaries. This is a big one. Boundaries are those invisible lines that define what's okay and not okay in your relationships. They serve a purpose. They are there to protect your emotional, physical, and mental space. Healthy boundaries are essential for mutual respect and sustainable connection. So, what happens when we are lacking boundaries? Well, without them, you may feel incredibly overwhelmed, maybe even used, or even invisible. Resentment can silently build, and burnout is likely. Over accommodation in relationships can lead to a loss of identity or increased stress, both personally and professionally. So, how can we foster more of it? Take some time to reflect. Get really clear on your own limits, what drains you, what energizes you, and what you're willing to give. Practice saying no without guilt and yes without resentment. Communicate your boundaries calmly and clearly. But be sure to honor other people's boundaries too, even when they're different from yours. Recognize that boundaries are a sign of self-respect, not selfishness. Let's talk a little more about boundaries because they often get misunderstood. Some people hear the word and think it means shutting people out or being harsh. But really, boundaries are the opposite. They're what make healthy connection possible. Boundaries are the invisible lines we draw around our time, our energy, and our emotional space. They let others know what's okay with us and what's not. And when we respect our own boundaries and honor the boundaries of others, we create relationships that feel safe, balanced, and sustainable. Think of boundaries like the framework of a house. Without them, everything collapses. When you set a boundary, you're saying, I value this relationship enough to be clear with you. That might sound something like, I'm not available to talk after 9 p.m., or I need some time to myself this weekend, or even, I can't help with that project, but I'd be happy to support in a smaller way. Boundaries don't push people away. They build trust. They let people know where you stand and what they can count on from you. Fostering healthy boundaries starts with tuning into your own energy. Do you leave certain conversations feeling drained? Do you say yes when you really mean no? Do you find yourself holding back resentment because you're doing more than you can manage? Those are signs that your boundaries might need a little attention. Setting boundaries isn't always easy, especially if you're used to being the go-to person. But over time, it becomes a powerful act of self-respect and relationship care. When we don't have clear boundaries, relationships can become tense, confusing, or one-sided. Overgiving often leads to burnout, while not speaking up about your limits can create hidden resentment. On the other hand, when boundaries are clear and honored, relationships tend to feel more honest and peaceful. You don't have to guess where the other person stands, and you don't have to abandon yourself to stay connected. So if you've been feeling stretched too thin or quietly frustrated in certain areas of your life, consider where a boundary might be missing. You might be surprised how a small shift, like asking for what you need or saying, "Not right now," can open the door to more ease and authenticity in your relationships. Belonging is the deep human need to feel accepted, included, and valued for who you are, not who you are pretending to be. And when we say pretending, that is not a judgment. That is something that a lot of us do. It just is. In order to fit in, we may adjust part of our personality, or maybe we don't feel psychologically safe to show our entire personality. So the belonging goes beyond fitting in. It's about being embraced by a group or a community that reflects your identity, your values, or passions. A lack of belonging can feel like being on the outside of every single circle. It may lead to chronic loneliness, low self-worth, imposter syndrome, even depression. People without a sense of belonging often withdraw socially, fearing rejection or judgment. So, how can we foster belonging? Seek out communities that align with your interests or your values, like support groups or cultural communities or interest based clubs. Allow yourself to show up authentically, even if that means being vulnerable. It may not happen the first time you try it, but the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. Be that person who invites others in. Welcoming others can reinforce your own sense of belonging, and how wonderful to be that person that makes another person feel good. Explore environments where diversity is celebrated, not just tolerated. Let's dive a little deeper. Belonging goes beyond just being around people. It's the feeling of being accepted for who you are, not who you're trying to be. It's that sense of ease when you walk into a room and you don't feel like you have to put on a mask. And while belonging might sound like something you either have or don't, the truth is, it's something we can all cultivate, both for ourselves and for others. At its core, belonging is about emotional safety. It's about knowing that you're part of something, whether that's a friend group, a family system, a community organization, or even a workplace. Research by Brené Brown has shown that true belonging doesn't require us to change who we are. It requires us to be who we are. That means the spaces we feel most at home in are the ones where we can show up authentically, with all our quirks and vulnerabilities, and still feel accepted. To foster more belonging in your life, start by asking, where do I feel most like myself? Who are the people I can be real with? And just as important, where do I not feel that way? Sometimes a lack of belonging comes from trying to fit into spaces that weren't built with us in mind. In those cases, it might be worth seeking or creating new spaces, ones where your values, culture, interests, or lived experiences are shared and celebrated. Whether it's a book club, a support group, a spiritual community, or even an online circle, belonging can be found in so many places. When the need for belonging goes unmet, it can lead to loneliness, low self-esteem, or even chronic stress. You might start to question your worth or feel like you're always on the outside looking in. At work, a lack of belonging can make people disengage, mask their identities, or hesitate to speak up. But when we do feel that sense of belonging, it's like a deep exhale. We feel more resilient, more creative, and more motivated because we're not spending energy trying to prove ourselves. So if belonging has felt distant lately, don't give up on it. There's a place out there, and likely more than one, where you do belong just as you are. Sometimes it just takes a little intention and a lot of self-kindness to go looking for it again. And support. This means having people you can turn to during tough times and being someone others can lean on. This includes emotional support like comfort or validation, or practical support like helping with tasks, and affirmational support. This is the encouragement and belief in your abilities. Without support, even everyday stress can feel overwhelming. You may feel like you're carrying the weight of the world alone. Long term, this can lead to emotional exhaustion, isolation, or a sense that your needs just don't matter. So, how can we foster more of it? Let others know what kind of support you need. Don't expect them to guess. Be willing to receive help, not just give it. Vulnerability builds trust. Check in with your support system regularly, not just in crisis. Offer support to others in ways that feel sustainable and authentic to you. Support is what keeps us steady when life gets heavy. And let's face it, life does get heavy sometimes. Whether it's emotional support, practical help, or simply knowing that someone has your back, support is a major part of social wellness. It reminds us that we don't have to carry everything alone. But here's the tricky part. Many of us are much more comfortable offering support than asking for it. So let's start there. Receiving support can feel vulnerable. Maybe you were raised to be self-reliant, or maybe you've been let down before when you tried to reach out. But the truth is, we all need people. We all deserve backup. And letting others show up for you isn't a burden, it's a gift to both of you. It creates trust, strengthens bonds, and helps people feel useful and needed. If you've ever had someone lean on you during a tough time, you know how meaningful that can be. The same goes in reverse. Fostering support means building a circle you can count on, whether that's a best friend, a sibling, a colleague, a therapist, or even a neighbor who always waves and asks how you're doing. It can also mean being that support for someone else in small ways, sending a check-in message, offering to help with a task, or just holding space for someone. Support doesn't have to be grand gestures. It's often the little things that matter most. When support is missing, we can feel like we are drowning in responsibilities with no lifeline. It becomes harder to cope with stress, make decisions, or even take care of our basic needs. In the workplace, a lack of support can lead to burnout, frustration, or disengagement. Emotionally, it can lead to loneliness or a belief that our struggles don't matter. On the flip side, when support is present, it creates a buffer against stress and a sense of belonging and stability, even in uncertain times. So if your support system could use a little tending, start small. Reach out to someone you trust. Let them know you're thinking of them, and if you need support, be brave enough to ask. And if you're someone who's always giving in to others, check in with yourself too. Make sure you're getting the kind of care you so freely offer. Because wellness isn't just about strength, it's about mutual support, and we all deserve that. Now, there are challenges. It's important to name that social wellness isn't always easy, especially in our current world. Some common barriers that people face include feeling burnt out or emotionally drained, struggling with trust due to past experiences. Maybe you're going through some transitions like starting a new job, moving, or caring for others. You could even have social anxiety or just being introverted. Perhaps you may be relying too much on social media for connection, which often leaves us feeling more alone. And these are all valid, and if any of them sound familiar, you are not alone. But the good news is that social wellness can be strengthened gradually. We don't need to fix everything. We just need to take small steps in the direction of connection. Let's talk about some strategies to improve or build on our social wellness. Here are some thoughts. Maybe try scheduling a regular check in with a friend or a family member. Maybe even just 15 minutes can go a long way. If 15 minutes is too much, try 5. Anything to just get that little bit of connection in. Try sending a quick text to someone you've been meaning to reconnect with. No pressure, just a simple, "Hey, you, just thinking about you, hope you're doing well." That's it. You could also try to join a group based on something you enjoy, whether it's hiking, gaming, book clubs, or parenting support. You could practice micro moments of connection. Make eye contact, offer a compliment, ask someone how they're really doing. Also, be intentional about your digital time. Prioritize meaningful conversations over passive scrolling. You could volunteer or help someone out. That's a great way to feel part of something and to build connection. Finally, reflect on your boundaries. Where might you need to say yes less and protect your peace a little bit more? As you can see, none of these require big life changes. It's really about creating small moments of real connection. Over time, they add up. Technology has dramatically reshaped how we connect with one another, for better and for worse. On the positive side, it has allowed us to maintain relationships across long distances, making it easier to stay in touch with loved ones and colleagues around the world. Video calls, instant messaging, and social media platforms have brought a sense of immediacy and accessibility to our interactions, bridging geographic and even cultural divides. For people with mobility challenges or social anxiety, technology can provide a safe and empowering way to engage socially, reducing isolation and creating new avenues for support. However, the convenience of digital connection can sometimes come at the expense of depth. Many people find themselves scrolling through curated feeds or exchanging brief messages instead of engaging in meaningful conversations. Face-to-face interactions with all their nuances, body language, eye contact, shared silence, they can be hard to replicate through a screen. This shift has led to an increase in what some call ambient intimacy, where we feel close to people through passive observation online, but may lack real emotional closeness or even vulnerability. There's also the challenge of attention. With notifications constantly demanding our focus, it's easy to become distracted, even during in-person interactions. The presence of a phone on the table, it can be enough to diminish the quality of a conversation. Additionally, while digital platforms can amplify marginalized voices and foster community, they can also contribute to comparison, misinformation, and polarization, making authentic communication difficult to sustain. That said, technology isn't inherently harmful. It's how we use it that matters. Intentional use of digital tools can enrich our social lives, especially when they supplement rather than replace in-person contact. Virtual book clubs, online support groups, or voice messages to check in on a friend can create genuine warmth and connection. Being mindful of screen time and setting boundaries around tech use can help preserve space for deeper, more present interactions. Here are some positive action items for strengthening connection. You can embrace tech as a way to deepen your social connections. Schedule tech free time, especially during meals or gatherings, to focus on the people around you. Use video calls to deepen long distance relationships instead of relying solely on text or social media. Join or create a virtual group around a shared interest, like a hobby, book club, or support network, to connect more intentionally. Set reminders. This can be a simple reminder to reach out to friends or family members you haven't spoken to in a while, or even special event reminders like birthdays, anniversaries, anything important. A simple message can go a long way. Practice active listening, whether in person or online. Put your device down, make eye contact or camera contact, and show that you're truly engaged. With awareness and intention, we can use technology as a tool for closeness rather than a substitute for it. I want to leave you with something simple but powerful, a chance to pause and reflect on your own social wellness. The truth is, no one knows the ins and outs of your relationships like you do. And while we've talked about a lot today, connection, communication, support, boundaries, this final step is all about tuning in and gently asking yourself, how am I really doing in this area of my life? There's no need to share it or fix anything right away. Just take a few moments now or later tonight to think or journal through these questions. This is your personal snapshot. It can help you get clear on what's working and what might need a little more care. Here are some prompts to guide you. Connection. Who in your life makes you feel seen and valued? When was the last time you felt genuinely connected to someone? Are there relationships you've been neglecting that you'd like to nurture? Communication. Do you feel heard in your closest relationships? Are you comfortable expressing your needs and emotions? Is there a conversation you've been avoiding? Boundaries. Are you honoring your own limits in your relationships? Do you say yes when you mean no? Are there boundaries you'd like to strengthen, soften, or clarify? Belonging. Where do you feel most at home or most like yourself? Are there communities or circles where you feel included and accepted? Are you craving a deeper sense of belonging? And if so, where might you find it? Support. Who do you turn to when things are hard? Do you allow yourself to receive help, or do you tend to go it alone? Is there someone in your life who could use your support right now? You don't have to tackle every area at once, but maybe one of these questions really stands out to you. That's a good place to begin. Just remember, social wellness doesn't require being a social butterfly or having a huge group of friends. It's about quality over quantity. Think about the people who make you feel like yourself, the relationships where you can breathe. Social wellness isn't about being extroverted. It's about feeling connected, valued, and supported. Even if you're in a season of loneliness or transition, there's always a path back to connection. And that path often starts with one small step. And small steps make a big difference. So I invite you to do something tiny after this webinar. Send that text, check in on a friend, or take yourself out to somewhere you might bump into someone new. and know that tending to your social wellness is not selfish. It's a core part of your overall health and happiness.